Doodlebud! Today we're talking pen accessories. What are the top ones I would recommend? Let's check these out. First up, you've probably seen one of these somewhere before, but one of these little bulb syringes. Sometimes they're sold for cleaning out ears, or if you got a little kid that can't blow its nose, you suck the snot out. You can get these at the dollar store, at your little pharmacy nearby, your grocery store. Pretty cheap, but very effective. Why do you need one? At some point, you're going to want to clean your pen and you want to do it fast. So take out your converter. So this works great on cartridge converter pens. Fill this full of water or pen flush, whatever you're using. Pop it on there. Fits perfect. This is the gray one. You'll see them in blue as well. I recommend the gray. You just blast out all that water, that pen flush, and now you just clean the whole pen and feed out so quick. Save yourself a bunch of time. That's why this is number one on the list. Nibs are small, and that little gap is even smaller, and so are the little end bit here, the little iridium tipping that's welded on there. And inevitably, you're going to have to make some adjusting, so you need some help because the human eye can only see so much. Enter little magnification loop, jeweler's loop, they're called as well. So you can find these things in stores. You can find them online, where I got mine pretty cheap. I don't know, it's $5 or something like that. I think this is a 20 times loop. They have a little light that will eventually break because the switch is garbage. But it's okay, just use a well-lit room. There's lots of other models. You can get ones that are fancier. But yeah, you're going to have to take a look at your nib. And, oh, can we do this? Oh, that's not so bad there. And so now you can start looking at the nib to see if it's a line and what that gap looks like and everything else. So that is a definite game changer. If you want further magnification, this is like a bonus item on the list here. You can upgrade, find the zipper, here we go, and get yourself a little USB microscope. I think this was maybe $20 or something like that. Now, the magnification claims are up to 1,000. I'm not buying that, but you can just plug it into your phone. It has a terrible little built-in adapter. This is garbage, so you will have to get the right adapter for your particular phone that just pops over there. But this thing's great, and also too, if you don't, you got issues with steady hands and stuff like that, you can see it on your phone screen, so it's a larger image as well. So if you want to upgrade, get one. They got the little LED lights. This stand is terrible. If you can get the vertical slidey uppy downy stand, and they'll even have a switch there so you can adjust the lighting. So that is a extra little bonus item if you want to upgrade. These alone are reasons enough to buy yourself a TWSBI pen. Getting this little wrench, if you get the Eco, it's a cheaper plastic one. If you upgrade, you get a metal one. This thing fits so many pens. My Pelican M805, my Pilot Custom 823. For disassembly, that's great, but especially this tiny, teeny little vial of silicone grease. I have, three TWSBI pens. I haven't even finished one bottle yet. So just the tiniest of tiny dabs will do you. You can put it on, like, say, a little toothpick or something, or whatever it is. You just got to put a little dabs on all your different pens, any kind of the moving parts, sometimes certain threads. This stuff is a must-have. Next up is some type of syringe filler. There's lots of different solutions and ways you can do this. This is the one I have. I'll leave a link in the description. I'll try to leave a link in the description for everything that I can. You can go cheaper. You can just get little bulb syringes, like pipette style ones where you squeeze them and do that if you're going to be filling, say, an eyedropper pen. I like this one because it's got the spring, so it's one-handed operation. It's pretty smooth. It's got a larger capacity. There are some other ones similar to this, but they're much even cheaperly built. And they don't really hold much, and they look kind of cheesy as well. You could also just get like a regular syringe, that your standard plastic medical type syringe, and use that as well. I just like this one. This is my personal preference. It's fairly well made. It's the Fanmu. Again, I'll put a link in the description. There's lots of ones like this, but I chose this one in particular. Just better build quality build construction, and you know how I am with that. And it comes apart real nice too. So it just threads off. It's got a nice little O-ring, large chamber there. To fully disassemble, you undo the little knobby knob, pop off the spring, push this out, out you go. So you can fully disassemble really nicely, clean it out, and again, whoa, where are you? A little dab of silicone grease when it's all dry, and you put it back together. So obviously you can fill this full of ink to fill up, say, an eyedropper setup that you have as well, but another quick tip could be to clean out a converter. Sometimes these can be a pain, especially if you have a really saturated ink or it's been sitting there a while. You would put it in, fill this full of water, stick it in there, and then blast the water in there. That way you're expressing the ink from back to front, so it's going to shoot out versus just going up and down, drawing it in, and the whole thing gets dirty again. A few good shots of this, and that'll clean it out. And that's why I went with this one too. Higher capacity means just less time filling and blasting out the water. Along the lines of the last one is this little guy, this little adapter. Again, link will be in this description. So you can see at the end of this is this little doodad here that pops on there. Well, you can get that for your converters as well. So sometimes you have pens that every time you put the whole nib and feed and all that stuff into the ink to fill it, it just creates a mess or it's hard to clean. So you can put this in instead and just draw up the ink that way. Or if you have these bottles, Diamine, come on. The opening is so small, there's a lot of pens you can't actually fit in there. But you want to fill the pen, so you put this on here instead, put your converter in, fill it up, and away you go. And also too, when you get down to the last little bits of that bottle, it's tough to get all the ink out of there, so enter this as well. To put the tip on, you can get every last drop out of your little bottles. You got these nice pens now, you gotta protect them, so you need some type of pen case. There's a million options out there. This is my clear favorite. I use this all the time. So this is the Girologio. I try to say this name so many times, I still can't say it. But this is their little 2-pen case. I got this one at Goulet. Other places have it as well. This is like the ox blood style leather. But the reason I like this one is the magnetic flap. Boom. So nice. I did a video on this, so you can check that out too. And it just opens it up so it fits pens large and small. So if you got shorter pens, you can just pop the flap to get in there. This one, I just love it. I've had this thing for so long now, and it still looks just as new as when I've got it. Yes, I just dropped it the other day. I was coming out of the car, grabbed my binder and all my gear, and it slipped off, hit the ground. Everything was fine. It's gonna happen, so get yourself some quality pen cases. Choose whatever you like. This is my personal favorite, and make sure you protect your pens. It's gonna happen. You need to do that. Next on the list, you're looking right at it. Something to protect your desktop because ink stains like crazy. So again, this is the cheapest version you can get. I just got this at the old Dollarama here locally. But some type of protector, some type of protectant for your nice desk that you're working on because ink is going to stain like crazy. And this is my wife's work desk, so she lets me know anytime there's a teeny drop of ink. So get something you can do your stuff on, assembly, disassembly, whatever it is you're doing. If you're not doing it at a sink, nib adjustments, whatever, have something to protect your tabletop. Let's work on our feelies, especially our feelie gauges. So a set of feeler gauges. I had these before my pens. I use them when working on engines and whatnot. So these are fantastic. It gets pretty tough to measure small little gaps, little distances, and feeler gauges are fantastic. The sense the human touch can determine and resolve down to is so small. Like, so here we got the smallest on this set starts at 1.5 thousandths of an inch. Next along there would be 2 thousandths of an inch, and you can tell that difference right away, like just instantly. So my most common ones I use with nibs is a 1.5, a 2 thou, and a 2.5 thousandths. That's about as far as I go. For me, the gap I look for to achieve is about a 1.5, and you simply just slide it between the tines. And the cool thing is you can actually get a higher resolution out of these gauges than what the stamp is. So if you put the gauge in, you can tell, right out of there if that's just not going to do it. So I start from the back, slide it up, and slide it out. So I can tell right now that gap is just a little bit below 1.5 thou. And that's what's really great. So you can step in between. You can feel if it's way too tight. So now it's probably a thousandths, maybe less than a thousandths, to just a little tight, to just below clearance, to just clearance, to just a little bit past clearance. So you can kind of get all these steps. You can resolve this down to less than what the actual feeler gauge is if you have that nice slight, sometimes they call it a machinist touch, from machinists being in the machine shop, and they can just feel little burrs or take off an extra half a thou or less than half a thou on the lathe. These are a great affordable way to do it. You can buy them anywhere online. There's also just individual brass shims. You might want to go with that unless you have a little experience using these, because you don't want to scratch up your nibs, especially gold ones. I've done this a million times, so I know how to fit it properly, not force it in there and be brute force. So you know yourself better than I do. You know your limits. If you feel that you might have those kind of heavy hands on things, maybe get the brass ones instead. I already have these kicking around the house, so I use them. But feeler gauges, they are fantastic. It's inevitable. You're going to have to adjust the tines and get the gap just where you need it. You're going to have to do it. So this, along with the loop, are their best buddies. Since we're talking about adjusting nibs, you probably want to get yourself a nice little pair of earbuds. Now, these are expensive. They were the free ones I got on promotion with my phone. But what the hell, they got a pretty good sound to them. So you're going to be tweaking nibs and doing the adjustments, and the adjustment you're looking for is so fine and so minute. You want to take your time. So just putting on some kind of chill music. If you're a death metal person, just take a break tonight from the death metal and put something easy going on, all right? And that way you can spend the time. If it's going to take you 15, 20, 30, whatever it takes, you got some relaxing music going on. You're looking through the loop. You got your nib. You got your feeler gauges, and you're getting that nib just right, just tweaked. Now it's pen to paper time, and you absolutely love it. And you didn't get a little frustrated and angry at the process, because you sit back and you're chilled out. You got some music in your ears. And lastly, we're talking ultrasonic cleaners. Had to put the old fisheye lens on to get the wide angle. So yeah, just one of these guys. I did a separate video all about these. Not needed, not mandatory for sure, but if you got to do lots of clean, especially if you get like a vintage pen and you don't know exactly what the quality of it as far as the restoration or the cleaning, this is handy. If you leave some pens around that have been inked for a while, especially a high saturation or high sheening ink, this will do the trick. Not too high of a power one. This is pretty low power. We're talking, I think this thing is like, 35 watts. So this is just a little hobby jobby. We're not talking the industrial ones. Those will blow your pens apart probably. And it's just simply got two modes, on and off. Super simple. Has a timer, 3 minutes or something like that. So a few cycles will do ya. This is great. And lastly, to go with it, I don't have it here with me, but just a pen flush. Yes, water is good enough most of the times, but sometimes, again, you left that ink in that pen for way too long. Let's get rid of the fisheye. You left the ink in that pen for too long, and you need a little extra oomph to get it out. A pen flush can definitely help. A little homemade recipe. Let me show you. Most common agreed upon DIY pen flush recipe is 9 parts water, 1 part ammonia, few drops of dish soap. Now, know your water in your area. If you really want to be super diligent, maybe you buy a little jug of distilled water. But in general, regular tap water is going to work anyways. That's what you're using when you're cleaning the pens. But if you want to make it maybe last extra long and just make it sure it's really good, use a little distilled water. Lots of stuff. I got one heck of a mess to clean out now. Think I'm going to grab my earbuds and go listen to some music. But check out this sweet little find before I go. In the bottom of my TWSBI VAC 700 was the grease and wrench, but these little O-rings I've been looking for, I think from my Mont Blanc 24. So sweet little find from doing this video. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't. Like and comment, and let's catch you next time.